This video is based on the knowledge of Dr. Andrew Huberman. That said, let's get started. Have you ever wondered if pornography is silently shaping your brain, altering your emotional connections, your pleasure, and even your real-world relationships? The impact goes far beyond what we imagine. This isn't a moral debate but a science-based warning. What you consume digitally can reprogram your responses, and today we'll explore how pornography consumption affects your arousal, motivation, and the crucial role of dopamine in all of this. Stay with me, because what you'll discover here could transform how you see the world and your own mind. To understand the impact of pornography on the brain, we first need to grasp one fact. The brain is a learning machine based on predictions. It associates behaviors with rewards to anticipate what you should pursue in the future. When we consume pornography, especially repetitively, the brain starts associating pleasure and arousal not with physical and emotional interaction with another person, but with the experience of observing others in a digital environment. Studies show this shift can create deep patterns in the brain, making it harder to respond to arousal in real-world situations. But the real issue lies in how this interferes with the dopamine system, often referred to as the brain's motivational currency. Dopamine is released every time you experience something pleasurable or rewarding, whether eating, achieving something, or even just anticipating a reward. When consuming pornography, the dopamine release is intense and immediate. However, the brain, designed to survive with moderate and natural stimuli, wasn't built to handle such high and frequent peaks. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman explains, the higher the dopamine peak, the bigger the drop afterward, and in many cases, you don't return to your baseline but fall below it. This vicious cycle causes the brain to demand increasingly extreme stimuli to feel the same level of arousal. It's no surprise that frequent pornography consumers report needing more intense or different content over time, reflecting their inability to achieve the same pleasure with previous material. From here, another problem arises: desensitization. This phenomenon occurs when the constant pursuit of dopamine makes the brain less sensitive to stimulation. For those who consume pornography, this can lead to difficulties in experiencing pleasure, in real relationships, or even forming meaningful emotional connections with partners. Research indicates this is especially concerning among young people who often encounter this type of content before experiencing real intimate relationships. The brain learns to associate arousal not with emotional closeness or touch, but with screens. Additionally, the psychological impact cannot be ignored. Excessive pornography consumption is correlated with feelings of anxiety, low self-esteem, and social isolation. This happens because when dopamine isn't naturally regulated, the brain enters a state of dopamine depletion. Suddenly, activities that were once enjoyable, like spending time with friends, engaging in hobbies, or achieving personal goals, begin to feel less satisfying. Pornography then becomes a kind of shortcut to pleasure, but with long-term effects that drain emotional energy and motivation. Despite how alarming this may seem, there is a practical and scientifically proven solution: the concept of dopamine fasting. Simply put, this means pausing or reducing the consumption of artificial stimuli, such as pornography, to allow the brain to return to balance. Studies show that breaking habits associated with excessive dopamine consumption can restore the system's sensitivity. To start, set periods without exposure to pornography and focus your energy on activities that stimulate your brain healthily, such as physical exercise, meditation, or learning something new. Additionally, create an environment that fosters conscious choices. Content blockers can be a useful tool at the beginning, but the real goal is to change how your brain perceives rewards. A practical tip: whenever you feel the urge to resort to pornography, replace it with an activity that requires physical or creative effort. This helps associate pleasure with something productive and positive, gradually reducing impulses. Lastly, remember that rebuilding brain patterns doesn't happen overnight. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change, is an ongoing but incredibly powerful process. Every choice you make is training your brain, as Dr. Huberman points out. When you reduce exposure to extreme stimuli and focus on real-life experiences, your brain gradually relearns to value the simple things that bring happiness and satisfaction. So now it's up to you. What will your choice be from today? Are you ready to regain control of your brain, your dopamine, and your connections? Leave a comment sharing your experience, your questions, or even the strategies that have already started changing your life. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video. It could be the first step to transforming their life.